Hello and welcome back to another episode of Vegans and Vegetarians.
We are your hosts,
Luce Taylor.
and Victoria Barkby.
And it has been a minute once again.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to stop introducing the podcast with that phrase,
Uh-huh.
but it's been a couple of weeks and this is us hopefully back in action now.
Comment, it's been a minute if you've made it this far.
But yeah, we've had, I suppose, a lot going on again over the last couple of weeks, but we are now in a new setting.
Mm-hmm. This is not either of our living rooms.
And we're levelling up. So
Mm-hmm.
I suppose if we just start by giving a wee bit of a roundup on where we've been at over these last couple of weeks.
I feel like you've had more on than me, and what you've been up to kind of more closely relates to what we're talking about. So shall I go first? Because mine's is brief.
Go for it. Take it away.
So on the last podcast, you may remember that I briefly announced my retirement from rugby. It was short-lived. I had a bit of a throwabout in the park last week with one of my friends, and it was a bit of a, what's the word, light bulb moment, where I thought, maybe I'm quitting this for all the wrong reasons, rather than staying for all the right ones. And then I realised that I'd piled a ton of pressure on myself to be perfect coming back from surgery, and I must be elite and like show people like that's what the last year's been about. And then I realised it's actually just a bit of fun in it. So I decided in my infinite wisdom to give pre-season a go, and it went rather well. Although I messaged you when I left and I was like, my knee's a bit stiff. It was stiff the following day, but I think it's just not used to it anymore, and it is made of stuff now.
How's it feeling? Because I don't think you've really mentioned much about it since the other day when...
It feels fit. Like, say if I sit with it folded up for too long, or if I sleep folded up, I kind of want to like straighten it out, but like it's more or less like it's totally fine.
Well, it was doing just as well as all your other team
Yeah.
members.
So we got the results of, we did some fitness tests for running, and when the results came back, I was quite surprised that I more or less fall quite neatly in with the team, whereas I thought I would have quite a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
But I kind of almost in a way got what I wanted. Like, I am now starting pre-season the exact same as everyone else. Don't get me wrong, so if anyone from the club is listening, I do still need to phase return, but the coaches are aware of that. Like, it won't be if I play a full 80 minutes, it'll be on and then off again, and then gradually build it up. But that was probably the most pivotal thing that's happened, because obviously most of what went on with me, we've kind of spoke about in the last podcast, it was just rugby that I was really on the field. Like, I wasn't happy with my training, nothing seemed to click, and then when I suddenly took the pressure off myself, it became fun again.
It's amazing what can happen when you just take that pressure off yourself, isn't it?
Self-inflicted as well. I'd like to make it really clear, no one put that on me but myself. And then when I removed all the, because obviously we've spoken about it before, like rugby in the end was painful, and not, that wasn't a knee pun, just the whole, like, the setup, the relationships I held at the time. So going back to it, it was almost as if, oh, this would actually open me up to a world of pain last time. Do I want to do that again? But new team, new mindset, and it was actually loads of fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
And I hope you don't mind me saying this, so like I know that there was a lot of anxiety for you around the fact that obviously you had just joined a new team just prior to the injury. So I think there was kind of something in there for you around like maybe not feeling like you'd quite found your place in that team yet. Like, do you think that kind of contributed to the anxiety of...
I think so, because the minute I was in amongst it with everyone else, like, I say like normal, like there wasn't a, oh, I need to set this one out, or no, I'm just here. Like, I got to join in with everything in the exact same way as everyone else. And like, you were in amongst it and you were having laughs and jokes, whereas you can't see or hear much from the sidelines. And I think because I hadn't, like, I joined maybe about a week before my operation, said my quick hellos, and I remember them going along the lineup, and I went, oh, I'm Victoria. And one of the coaches at the time was like, why aren't you joining in? And I was like, oh, I've ruptured my ACL, I can't. And you could just see the look on his face, like, and you've come here why? But I think there was so much of that was joining it, and like you're saying, I technically spent a year not involved with them.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like part of a team because they weren't missing me because they'd never spent any coherent time with me, and B, never seen me play.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen them play. And like, over the time I did kind of appear at a couple of wee bits and bobs here and there. I sold a ton of raffle tickets at their Sevens festival last year. I'm like, that was a special skill that I did not know I had. I can sell a raffle ticket. Like no, like nobody's. So see if the PTing doesn't work out for me, I'm going into raffles.
Sounds like a solid backup plan.
So as I sit here in my new chair for podding, I feel a lot more optimistic about it, and I feel a lot happier in my training, a lot happier in my body, because another thing I did that's part of the return to sports protocol, a lot of people think physio's a physical thing, but they do your mental state. There's a little questionnaire you do, and I've done it once before, but I think I did it once before for one of it, or trying to be Billy Big Boss, and I was like, I'm not scared, I don't care, I'm fine, I'm strong as I ever was. And I filled it out with quite a defiant, not I'm fine, like, don't worry about me, I've got this. And then obviously I spoke to the 2 training sessions I did go back to, and it was terrifying. Every single, like if the wind blew the wrong way, I'm like, I don't know if my knee's going to... And I was saying this to one of the girls at training the other night. She was like, are you worried? And I went, I'm not worried about me. I feel like I've done everything I can. It's other people I'm worried about, other people running into me. But my position for the non-rugby fans of the show, I'm normally at fullback, which is like the goalie of the rugby world. And like, although there is an element of all rugby players where you need to tackle, the skill in being one of the backs is you're fast enough and compact enough to get out of a heated situation. It's like, you don't have to take a tackle. You can just run away. I think I'm pretty fast, so... But I do feel a lot better about it. I feel a lot more relaxed. So I'm not making tall promises to myself. I'm just going to take it as it comes, and if it continues to feel right, then... And if at any point I said to myself in the car on the way up, I was like, see if this at any point feels unfun or unsafe, I was like, no one's forcing you.
Yeah.
Just take your time. It's like we've said quite often, there's no such thing as hustle culture. There's
I think
no need.
like it's interesting because I've been having similar conversations with clients recently who have found that now that they've been given the permission by me just to like slow down a little bit, like take the pressure off, they are now starting to do things that they didn't think they could do before. And it just goes to show you like the difference. Like sometimes like taking that like ground mentality and being like, I need to just do the thing. Like like sometimes putting pressure on yourself can be a good thing, but too much of it and you end up stuck in that all or nothing mentality, I think. And it just goes to show that you kind of allowing yourself to take a little bit of a step back, take the pressure off, like just go in and enjoy it for what it is, and not like, oh, I need to outperform other people or I need to outperform who I was before. Like, I'm just here for a bit of fun. I think just giving yourself that permission actually shows you like what you're capable of, especially if you're still trying to bounce back after quite a rough period.
But because I think I've spoke to you about it before, having conversations with the consultant, and they were like, you're not a professional athlete, so don't expect this to be over for you in 6 months. Yeah. And in my head, the day I was like, I think I'd never had an operation or anything. I'd never been that seriously injured or any operation for any reason before. And in my head, I honestly thought, I'll show you. I was like, I couldn't stand the idea of it being the end of me being physically fit and active. I didn't want to be one of those people that were like, I used to do that, but I hurt my knee and then I did nothing. Like when I read about it, ACL injury is a serious injury, but like you can come back from it. Yeah. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of time and a lot of patience. And I suppose it's the old, like we say it to our clients all the time, like the results you want to achieve normally do take a long time. So I almost found myself instantly in the position.
What's that phrase you always say? And it's like the day that you plant the seed
is not the day you eat the fruit.
I love that.
Or end up with the big cool scar down your leg. But enough about me. You've had quite a busy couple of weeks yourself.
God, I don't even know where to start. Like, I suppose
From the beginning, Leslie.
I suppose this kind of relates back to what I'm about to go into. Like, I'm sitting here, like, feeling quite like brain foggy at the moment. I was surprised
Have a couple more sips.
Yeah, I've got the can of Monster. I'm sipping away at it. I've kind of crashed out, I suppose, or I started to crash out this morning. I feel like I've spoken about them on most of our episodes now, been dealing with these on and off health issues for, I want to say, the best part of a year now. Like, when I actually look back on how long I've actually been impacted by it all, it's been probably longer than I would like to admit. And I had quite an uncomfortable experience at the GP the other week, shall we say. I kind of went off on one about it on my Instagram stories. But if you are vegan and if you've ever been to the doctors struggling with things like tiredness, fatigue, brain fog, you're probably not alone in kind of having experienced that being put down to your veganism and straight away being told, oh, you need to supplement B12, you need to supplement iron. Now, bearing in mind, I've not eaten meat in how many years now? Like 22 years. So I've been plant-based the majority of my life. I've been struggling with these fatigue issues since probably like prep last year when I really think back on it. But obviously, like during a bodybuilding prep, that's really intense, and a lot of what you feel on a bodybuilding prep isn't supposed to feel good. Like, you will have brain fog, like you will feel tired, sluggish, low energy, poor recovery by the very end of your prep because your body fat levels are very unhealthily low. Now, obviously a competition prep serves its purpose. I'm really trying my best not to shit on bodybuilding because ideally I would like to go back to it one day. I don't know at this point in time if it will be possible, if it will be on the cards, because my health is the most important thing. But I had my bloods done privately the other month. I had my thyroid checked. I think I was speaking about that a few weeks ago. That all came back fine. So I went and got more bloods done back at the GP again, who ordered like a full-on blood panel this time. So they were checking for pretty much everything because there is a history of autoimmune conditions in my family. So that was also a concern of mine. Anyway, my blood test results came back. They said that my iron was low and they prescribed me iron tablets, which at first thought I was like, okay, interesting. They supposedly tested my iron back in February as well, but they never flagged my iron as an issue back in February. So I started taking the tablets for a couple of weeks there. I have actually been eating better recently than I was in February, because in February I had a period of illness where I was struggling to eat anything. I'd just started on antidepressants at the time as well. So like, it was basic self-care I was doing at that point in time. I was not training or anything. And then, yeah, I went along to the GP just to kind of question things because I've been taking the iron tablets for nearly a month now. I'm not feeling any better. If anything, I'm feeling worse. And first of all, I asked for an appointment with the GP. When I walked in, it was the advanced nurse practitioner, and I wasn't informed that that's who my appointment would be with. So straight away, like, that already made me feel a little bit anxious because I was like, well, that's not what I requested. And nobody made it clear. The second I walked in the door, so I was wearing my work hoodie, like it says plant-based coach on the back of it. She started reading out the words on the back of my jumper, and I felt a little bit like shifty, uncomfortable, like, okay, what's going on the minute here?
You walked in the door.
Felt very like, it felt very rehearsed. So she asked me like what the issue was, and I explained to her, like, I've been put on these iron tablets. It's been about a month. I'm actually feeling worse. That the condition is, whatever is going on with me, it is quite debilitating at the moment. I have been struggling to train, like, bearing in mind I used to train 5 days a week. Like, I've been struggling to train. Like, I'll maybe go to the gym like twice a week on a good week at the moment. I am napping more than usual. I'm sleeping like 10 hours a day sometimes. I have been struggling to like get up and do my work, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful that I work for myself so I can decide my own working hours and stuff. But I know that I'm capable of so much more than what I've actually been able to do recently. So I was trying to explain all this to her, and straight away she tells me that basically what she said was my iron levels are in range. However, they are on the slightly lower end of the range, so they may not be in range for me as an individual. Now, she went and ran through all my other bloods and said that everything else was fine, bar my red blood cell count, which was elevated. And she kept bringing it back to my diet, and she kept going, you're vegan, aren't you? You're on a plant-based diet. And I was like, yes, I am. And she was like, well, I hate to say it, but you know, people that don't eat red meat, and she went straight for the jugular. Like it just felt so like they picked out that one, like low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
And they've gone, you're vegan, you're plant-based, your iron looks slightly on the lower end, even though it's in range. So we're going to put you on iron tablets and see what happens. And we're not going to look further into it until we've ruled that out in 3 months' time when we test you again. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there like, the fact that she'd made this connection between my diet and low iron and stuff. And I just didn't feel like I was being taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And I was getting quite like uncomfortable at the time. Like I felt quite upset, quite frustrated with the situation. So my body language was showing that I was frustrated. I can feel myself tensing up a little bit just now talking about it as well. And she like made the decision to like grab my arm, like put her hand on my arm mm-hmm. as if to like console me. But it felt so inappropriate in that moment. Yeah. I was like, I haven't given you permission to like touch me and console me. I'm actually not frustrated at the fact that I'm unwell. I'm frustrated at the fact that I'm trying to tell you that I do eat well. Like I'm an online, like I'm a personal trainer. I'm qualified personal trainer.
Competitive bodybuilder. Athlete.
My whole job is coaching plant-based people. Mm-hmm. None of them are having issues with their iron.
And in all the, what was it we said, 22 years?
In all the 22 years that I've been plant-based, I had anemia once in high school, and it was back when I was having issues with my menstrual cycle.
And did you not say your diet was beige back then?
My diet was beige. I'm obviously a lot more health conscious now. And she goes, oh, but people that work in fitness, you know, they tend to have quite restrictive diets. And I was like, again, you're making an assumption about me. You don't know anything about my diet. Like, you haven't seen a food diary. You're not my coach.
Girl, have you seen the pizza we put away?
I'm like, you've literally just met me and you're telling me like people in fitness have restrictive diets and that's what the issue is. So I left that appointment feeling infuriated. Like it took the little energy I had left for that day completely out of me, like drained the life out of me. And I walked home and I felt so defeated at that point. I was like, where do I even go from here? So I sat with that feeling for a bit and I was like, what can I control or what can I influence within this situation? Because I don't feel like I've been listened to. I'm feeling frustrated. This is my health. Like I've been having these issues for a long time now. I don't feel like it's all been fully investigated. So I did end up taking it upon myself to write a complaint to my GP surgery. Mm-hmm. And I had a response from the practice manager the next day who phoned me up. And she explained to me that I'm an advanced nurse practitioner, as apparently like just a step below a GP anyway. And I was like, look, I understand that. I didn't know that. But I just said I wasn't made aware. Like I specifically requested a GP. Mm-hmm. And I heard the word nurse. And again, I'm making assumptions here because I'm like, I don't want to undermine any nurses that are listening. Mm-hmm. But I specifically asked for a GP because that was what I felt comfortable with at the time. Mm-hmm. So it was the fact that wasn't kind of made clear to me, but then it was all the other stuff as well. And she basically booked me in for another appointment with the GP. So I spoke to the GP a couple of days ago. I was slightly frustrated by the fact I was in the waiting room for 40 minutes. Like they were 40 minutes late with my appointment, but when I went in, like he thanked me for waiting and he was like, I was just going through your complaint with the practice manager. Like I just wanted to make sure that we covered all bases. And he was honestly amazing. It was night and day difference. Like he addressed everything that I'd brought up and he was like, I can appreciate it's frustrating. Like I completely agree with you. Like they have taken a very like reductionist approach to it, like by just picking the first thing that they've thought looks slightly off. Mm-hmm. And then because I actually had my bloods done privately last year, post-prep, my MCV count had come back borderline high at the time as well. Mm-hmm. And I was saying this to you last night, they had recommended to me that I got my red blood cell count checked again in a couple of months' time because they explained that if my red blood cell count is high, but my iron's in range, my B12 is in range, all of that's in range, then it could actually be hemochromatosis, mm-hmm. which is iron overload, which means you've got too much iron in your blood and your body's not getting rid of it. And upon researching this afterwards, I actually found out that one of the worst things you can do for hemochromatosis is to take iron supplements because it makes your symptoms worse. which is what I've noticed over the last few weeks. And it can internally damage it can damage your internal organs. So I didn't find this out until after this GP appointment the other day, but I was like, what the hell? Like,
It's a bit of a clanger.
yeah, I was like, I could have been making myself more sick over the last few weeks because I've been taking these iron supplements whilst also increasing my iron in my diet, like the nurse had, or the advanced nurse practitioner.
I think one more sachet of beans. The chicken wall in the cupboard.
The GP went through absolutely everything like so thoroughly with me and like took everything seriously. And then obviously like I was talking about the fact that like at the moment I'm also in the process of going through assessments for ADHD and autism as well, which is like a whole other thing. And it's like, I don't know how much of this is maybe related to like my gut health, because gut issues, like issues with your nervous system, like especially if you're in fight or flight all the time, all of this can impact your immune system. It can impact your gut health. Like it can, like it's also like connected, like the mind and body, right? So we went into detail and all that, and he was like, you're absolutely right, like it could be all these things. And he was like, let's try and rule out a few things first. So he was like, your red blood cell count is high, so what I want to do is I want to get you tested for hemochromatosis, see if we can rule that one out. The symptoms do sound very similar to some of what I've been experiencing, and I think the treatment for that is that like you get blood removed like every so often, just so that you've not got iron overload in your system. So I'm getting my bloods done in a few weeks' time. They're basically wanting to time that with also testing me for PCOS, which is another thing that we've spoken about before, where I was concerned that there was maybe something with my hormones like a few years ago, and the doctor was like, well, we wouldn't test you for PCOS because it's not affecting your quality of life and you're not trying to get pregnant. So
we were talking about that last night.
And I'm like, okay.
So me being worried about my health isn't enough.
I know. It's like, sorry, your health only matters if you're trying to conceive and you're not. So
and it's the health of the child that's important, not you.
So I'm basically, they're wanting to test for that as well. So that'll all get done in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, I wasn't actually advised whether to stop taking the iron tablets or not. So my GP has like an option where you can send them a message online and someone will either like give you a 5-minute phone call or text you if it's like a quick question. So I asked them that the other day. I've stopped taking them in the meantime because I'm like, I don't really want to damage my internal organs. So like I'm trying to focus on like improving my health right now.
It does sound kind of counterintuitive. You would like to think they would have told you if you're taking anything that supplements iron, and now maybe hold back on that till we can rule this out, especially because you're actually waiting a month for the test.
But it's been wild. Like we've obviously had conversations about it. I've been really, really hard on myself because like some days I will actually have no energy to do anything. Like I slept for 8 hours the other night, and then in the afternoon I was like, I really need a nap. So I ended up sleeping for like 10 hours in total that day. And I hate days like that because I just feel so unproductive, or like I'm constantly like beating myself up and going like, I feel like I should have been able to do more than that. And I think that like that kind of grind mentality that I got into with bodybuilding, I'm still not always talking to myself in the best way that I could be. Like I'm not giving myself grace in the same way that I like give my clients that space to just be themselves. And I'm so lucky that I have like coaches and mentors in my corner who are like looking after my health right now and like reminding me to do those things, because it makes the world a difference. Like see, if I was just trying to like navigate all of this on my own, I'd be going like, no, you're just making up excuses, like you just don't want it bad enough, like you're just being a nuisance, like you're just finding reasons to complain,
just not hungry enough for it.
And I'm like, there's already so much stigma around things like the plant-based diet and neurodivergence and like, but it's also interlinked.
And if we kind of like how many podcast episodes ago was it where you debunked there's no such thing as an excuse or laziness?
I don't believe in laziness. Like I think there's always an underlying reason for someone being lazy, whether that's an executive functioning issue, whether it's something to do with them just not seeing the value in something. Like again, yes, that could be stereotyped as laziness, but if you don't see the value in something, then why? It's like the same, like people that didn't enjoy school or people that didn't try in school. It wasn't necessarily that they were lazy. It was just that the things that they were learning, they genuinely didn't feel were going to benefit them down the line. And people that did shit in school or didn't care in school have gone on to do some amazing things with our lives.
I mean, you look at what the layout of like what a school actually is, it's actually quite a terrible thinking environment because it doesn't, although the aim of it is, like I used to hate in school, I'm going off on a slight tangent, I was quite well behaved.
We love a tangent.
We love a tangent. Love a tangent, Leslie.
Oh, we do.
In school, I was quite shy, but well behaved. And they always put me next to, like, they'd always put you next to like your polar opposite. So like if there was someone that was very outspoken and the teacher couldn't necessarily handle very well, I always get sat next to them.
Oh.
And what did that result in for me? Pure hell.
My teacher did that with me in modern studies. And she moved me next to like people that were quite disruptive, and all it did was it made me disruptive as well. And I was like, that didn't work.
See, my maths teacher tried that. She moved me away from my friends so I wouldn't speak to them, and she sat me right in front of her desk. And I'm like, joke's on you, Mrs. G, I'm going to speak to you now. And I did. And we used to have a double period on a Thursday. And I wouldn't move, and I'd just be sat there, and I'd be like, so how was your weekend? And she was like, "Toria, you're not going to go speak to your friends?" And I'm like, well, you sat me here. I like to talk to you. But I suppose that kind of clicks on nicely, a segue, if you will, to what we kind of wanted to touch on our episode today. And that is that there's a lot of overlap, like you said, your experience at the GP between, like, she instantly went plant-based, vegan, queer, neurodivergent.
Collected all the labels.
Yep. I've got the trifecta.
The holy trifecta.
I know, I've got the holy trifecta.
Sorry to butt in, but someone literally followed me on Instagram the other week, and like I sent them a welcome message, and they came back to me and they were like, "Oh, I just saw vegan, neurodivergent and queer like on your profile." And I was like, yes.
I mean,
welcome. You're my kind of people.
To be quite honest, in relationship terms, I feel like I've won. I mean, I've got all three. Bingo. My grand prize. But I suppose we spoke about a lot about it just in general, like general chit chat in our day to day, but how those three kind of, I'm going to say camps, but it's not a queer pun. It's not. Those three kind of camps, they often experience the exact same things. There's a lot of overlap. You tend to find, like you're saying, you're the holy trifecta. Like, you generally find if someone identifies as one of those things, the odds are they probably identify as the other two, or at least one of the other two as well.
One of the other two. It's interesting, like my pattern recognition is so good. That's my it's my neurodivergent superpower. I'm very good at noticing patterns and things, and it's part of the reason I study sociology. I think sociology has just improved my pattern recognition as well. But obviously when I first started coaching and I decided to niche down into working with plant-based people, one of the first things I noticed, so I was at the time, I'd been referred for my ADHD assessment, which I'm still on the waiting list for that. Like it can literally be up to like 7 years in Scotland. So I nearly went private, and that was just no, I'll just wait. I'll learn to manage it on my own for now. But I'm going off on a tangent now. When I first got into coaching, I noticed that a lot of my clients were neurodivergent. So when they were filling in either their consultation forms or come up in conversation kind of down the line, and people would tell me that they either had ADHD or autism, or like suspected one of the two. And then I had a client who had recently been diagnosed with autism. At the time, I didn't understand or know like anything about autism. Like it was just one of those things. I had this very stereotyped idea of it in my head. I didn't actually understand, like I didn't know anything about like masking and like women and AFAB people. Like I didn't know what that looked like. And as I started to read more into it, because it then became like a hyper focus for me, like intensely researching autism. I like ended up signing up to like a course. So I'm now like qualified in understanding autism. And I did that like just because I wanted to learn more about it. And like the more that I did research in it, the more that I started recognizing a lot of those things in myself and how they've like shaped my view of the world. And then I did further research because I dated someone at the beginning of last year as well who told me they were autistic. And when I started like reading into that, and my algorithm started sending me stuff on Instagram, and I was like, I also like recognize these traits. And then I also found out that a lot of women and AFAB people are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder when actually they've got autism, because there's a lot of like crossover between the two. And I was diagnosed with BPD when I was like 19, 20 and put on antipsychotics for about 5 years and only came off them like about over a year ago. And again, I think that's part of the reason why I love the structure and the routine and the rigidity of bodybuilding, was like it was so predictable for me in a world where I don't understand like a lot of the rules, and a lot of like, I think that's also another reason why I studied sociology, was because I wanted to understand the world more and understand the way that like society is formed, because a lot of these like social, like prescribed social norms don't make sense to me in my brain. I'm like, but why? Like, I'm always asking why about things. Like, why are things this way? Like, why is that accepted as fact? Like, is there an alternative? But yeah, I started learning more about that, and I was like, that's interesting, because I also think like your vibe attracts your tribe as well. So I was obviously putting out an energy that was attracting all these neurodivergent clients, even if I hadn't like fully got a diagnosis myself. And then obviously like, with the queerness thing as well. So again, I noticed that about a third of my clients at the time were part of the LGBT community that I knew of. There are potentially other people that I work with who either maybe aren't out, or maybe haven't accepted that part of themselves,
or
maybe
the penny hasn't dropped yet.
Penny hasn't dropped, or maybe they've just not felt the need to tell me because they're like, that's not relevant to our coaching relationship. But it was something that, and I remember speaking to people about it, and I was like, are people just more open about their sexuality these days? Or again, like, am I putting out a vibe? Because I hadn't like, I've obviously spoken about my coming out story previously on Instagram, like in previous episodes, and it was a bit of a like, I've like come out and then like kind of like gently gone back into the closet again and then come out again kind of thing. So it's never been a linear process for me. But I noticed that there was just this like curiosity, like whenever I had like another like queer client sign up to me, there was this like curiosity in me where I was like, why am I like curious about this? Why is this like setting off this little thing in my brain where I'm starting to question myself and like the stories that I'm telling myself, and like how can I like dig into this a bit more? And it was only kind of at the beginning of the year, like around the time that we started talking, when I was like, I have so much respect for my clients who are so like out and proud. And I was like, that was that little thing for me where I would hear them talking about their partners, and there was something inside of me that was like, I wish I had that. Like, I wish I had that safety. I wish I felt safe enough to like fully be myself. And that was around the time we started talking, because I was like I'm ready to explore this again now. Like, I'm ready to explore this. I feel as if I've built up this community around me now where I could be myself. Like, if I was to be in like a same-sex relationship, then none of my clients are going to judge me for that, and the people around me, like, they love me for who I am. So who I love like shouldn't make a difference to them if they love me. And then I was like, this is really interesting. Like, why is there such an intersection between like neurodivergence, queerness, and veganism?
Because I hadn't noticed it either. So growing up, obviously I come from South Lanarkshire, and it's a bit, I'm going to use the phrase, lovely place. Wouldn't go on holiday there, but I'm going to use the
wee weekend in Hamilton.
wee weekend away.
Premier Inn.
You want to go to the Premier Inn? Smallville type attitude, where it, like, so I remember being like in high school, and if you didn't fit in, you stood out.
Yeah.
But in a bad way. And like, I knew I was gay. Like, I'd known it from about 6, but I didn't understand what it was. But I really, really knew, like, the penny dropped and I had a label for it, and I knew that it was perceived a bad thing from about the age of 12. And I thought, oh, no. And it was one of those things where I just pushed it down, and it upsets my sister quite a lot that we are obviously twins. I've had the same upbringing, but I spent my upbringing kind of hiding myself. And the way Lauren put it to me was, well, I just had like a normal childhood. Whereas I was always like, I'll just cover my tracks here, cover my tracks there. If you've not listened to our last episode, I'm not gay, but that was the one before that, but listen to it. It covers it. But up until
You're constantly living your life in fight or flight though, because you're like, is someone going to out me? Like, is someone going to expose me? Like, do people know something about me that I don't know?
Is somebody going to say something and all of a sudden I can't be in this place anymore?
Yeah.
I used to work for the NHS and it was at like a mega, like we were speaking about Pride last night and I'd been asked to my first Pride in 2018 by one of my friends from uni, and I'd never went before. It was terrifying. And the night before, she sent me a text going, "Oh, I'm going with my girlfriend, you can walk with your work." And I'm like, I'm not out at work. And the NHS is quite a big organisation, so they like to be seen.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, why have you dropped me in the soup? I'm like, what if people at work find out?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was awful. Distinctly unfun. Like, I don't remember it fondly at all. But I didn't start to feel at home in myself till I joined. So I referenced rugby team. I'm talking about two different teams. I'm talking about the Glasgow Raptors and I'm talking about the Queen Bees and East Kilbride. Those are my teams.
Yeah.
But the Glasgow Raptors are an LGBTQ plus team. So we're inclusive. And up until I joined the Raptors, I had never met such a high concentration of vegans or people that fell on the autistic spectrum, people with ADHD. Like almost the full team. And obviously the thing that unites us all, and I like to point out there aren't just queer people in the Raptors, like we do have people that identify as heterosexual.
Yeah.
And they're there because the friends go and so on.
They're just really good allies.
They're just good allies. But I'd never met such like a high concentration in one place.
Yeah.
And what I actually thought was really sweet about it is it's the safest I'd ever felt to just be me.
Yep.
Like, I remember, this was obviously pre-injury, but I used to drive to rugby training thinking, can't believe this is my cool life. Personal trainer, play rugby, gay. And it was, but I'd never, like, obviously grown up in Lanarkshire, there probably would have been people that were ADHD, autistic, but like it was kind of drummed out of you, like it's not normal. Like, you dare not rise above, put your head above the trench and come out as gay in Hamilton Grammar School. When I was there, it was like, that was social suicide.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely do not do that. Whereas here's this pocket of people that we all have those things in common, and it's actually like, one, it's not bad, and two, everyone has it in common.
Yeah.
And it felt like being part of this extended family. And then obviously when we met, I've increased kind of my knowledge of it. I think I said this to you a while ago, one of the best dates I think we ever went on was when you took me to Glasgow Uni, to the summit.
Wasn't that like our third date or something?
That was our third date.
That was quite
We went
intense for the third date. I was like, do you want to come to this women in ADHD
the day after
summit
Valentine's Day? I'm sorry if that doesn't say lesbian, I don't know what it does. We went to a summit the day after Valentine's Day. We did do Valentine's Day, but then we reconvened the following day and we went to a summit, a day-long summit in Glasgow Uni, and it was women in ADHD. But what was also lovely about when they were like women in ADHD is that encompassed all women.
All women.
Slight jibe to current political climate.
Yeah.
All women. Everyone.
And AFAB people.
And
as well.
AFAB. That's what I'm meaning. It's like, that included the trans community, it included everyone. But it was, I say, the best date we've ever been on, because I probably learnt so much about you in such a short space of time without speaking to you. Like, I got to see how, like, one of the common phrases you tend to use is like how my brain works.
Yeah.
And like the penny drop for me then, I'm like, just because it's not how I see the world or Lucy sees the world doesn't mean that's not a valid way to process it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the penny drop for me that, like, you may look at a problem or a situation slightly differently, but in a lot of ways it's actually a huge advantage. And to be quite honest, like, I remember sitting there thinking, my God, like, Luce is beautiful. like just about the mind. And I learned all this stuff, and like even like we talked about shiny objects. I don't know what's shiny object.
Shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome. Burnout. And it was like, oh, that's like, it was like I could connect dots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was almost like I got this wee window into what makes you tick, which I think is so rare. A lot of people don't take the time or are ever in the situation where they get to learn that about their partner in such a short window of time.
I agree. And like, it's been very different for me. Like, obviously not just the fact that like this is my first same-sex relationship, so it's been very different in a lot of ways, but like it's been very different for me because I'm at a point in my life now where I've got like 28 and a half years of experience of trying to figure myself out now, and like things that I didn't have a name for or an understanding of before, I have now. And it's no longer like, oh yeah, like I do this because I'm depressed, or like I've got this personality disorder, or like, it's like, no, my brain works differently. I still take responsibility for my actions and the things that I say, and I'm not trying to go into victim mode anymore and be like, oh, it's just my mental health condition or whatever. It's like, no, this is the way that I process things, this is the way that I see things. And now that I understand it better, like I also know when it's appropriate for me to take a step back and like regulate myself, whether that's like I need some space this week, or like I can only have like really short conversations like with you if we're texting, or like I'm gonna send you a voice note because I don't have the brain space for like back and forth or like big messages, or like it's just finding different ways to do things. Whereas in the past I would have got really frustrated because I didn't know how to articulate those things, because I didn't have a name for them, I didn't have an explanation for them. And now I'm like, oh, that makes sense now, and now that makes sense to me, I can like express it to you, and then we can still have like a normal, healthy, functioning relationship.
Yep.
Like who knew that was a thing?
Who knew?
Who knew if you just use your words and communicate?
Who knew if you just tell each other what's on your mind? Because we were talking about the other night about like, just because it is like saying it's just because it might look different doesn't mean it's not. Which I suppose when we did some research around our podcast topic, a lot of what the queer community and people with ADHD, autism and vegans all have in common is it goes against what is considered a societal norm.
Yep. So there's a lot around kind of like non-conformity, or what was the phrase that I was using earlier? I
don't know, but it was very good for
I can't
our
remember
debut in
now.
the studio.
I've lost the word now. Counterculture.
Yes.
So, for example, obviously, but one of the clear distinctions that was drawn when we were doing our research was that obviously queerness and neurodivergence are not a choice. So, like those are things we're born with. Those are in our DNA. You do not choose to be queer. You do not choose to have a neurodivergent brain. I mean, what the fuck even is a normal brain anyway? Like, let's start there. But
there's no proof there is a normal brain.
There isn't. But yeah. So obviously those two things aren't a choice. Veganism is obviously a choice. However, if you have grown up facing stigma for like your brain working differently, or for being attracted to people of the same gender, or for expressing your gender identity in a different way, or like for not feeling connected with the sex that you were assigned at birth, these are already things that you are like facing social exclusion, facing criticism, facing marginalisation for. So if that's the way that you kind of are, and that's the way that you live your life, and you want to go vegan, for example, like what's one more thing? Like what's one more thing for people to judge you on? Like
just go for the full boom.
Whereas if you don't have a queer identity, if you are not neurodivergent, and there is a part of you that's like, oh, I want to go vegan, but it goes against the grain, and I don't want people to judge me, and I don't want to be an outcast, and I don't want to have to start making new friendships and stuff. People in those situations would probably value things like status and like acceptance from wider society. Like those things are higher on their list of values, whereas for someone who's neurodivergent, for someone who's queer, for someone who's vegan as well. Like their values are probably going to be much more aligned with things like compassion, community, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. We kind of spoke about it before it came out. It's like you're saying, like, you probably have more value of what it means to, it sounds dead extreme, a better idea of what it means to suffer.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. If you faced ostracism, if you faced marginalisation, then you're probably going to be able to empathise with animals more than humans, let's be honest. Like if you, outside of your direct community, like...
if you grow up thinking that there was like a kind of one group that dominated over all others and they looked upon you disapprovingly, or that there was less value in your life, then all of a sudden that Nando's doesn't exactly look so delicious either, because I'm like, well, us and the chickens aren't that far removed, are they? Like, either way, someone's looked at us and deemed us less than.
Yeah.
And you can kind of empathise with like when you put the poll up about the fruit flies, and a lot of people were like, their lives too.
Oh God.
Tell us about the fruit flies, Leslie.
I've been traumatised these last few days because I've had a fruit fly invasion in my flat. I don't even know where it started. Like sometimes they just appear in the summer. Last summer I don't remember being bad because I did not set up any traps last summer, but the summer before that they were going mental. But the other day they were absolutely swarming my tiny little kitchen. They were all over like a dirty smoothie glass that I'd left out, and I was like, well, I'm just blaming my ADHD. No, I'm kidding. That was I'm very messy sometimes. And yeah, they were laying eggs and all sorts. They were multiplying like by the dozens. It was pretty horrific.
They were having some wild house parties when you were in.
I was like, I need to do something about them. But I was like, is it technically vegan to nuke them? Because like I shouldn't be causing any harm or suffering to animals. But at the same time, my health has been better. So like that's one thing. I'm like, my immune system's not the best at the moment. So like I don't necessarily want to be eating anything that could have been
covered in something.
Yeah, like
plus it's not very vegan of the flies to make themselves at home in your home either, is it? Did anyone consider the flip side?
But I put up a poll on Instagram yesterday, just like curiosity, just to get some opinions. It was mental. There were a good few hundred replies on it, and I think like it was a very low percentage, maybe like 7%, definitely less than 10% voted leave them be, like they deserve to live kind of thing.
I hope you commented back going, they're flies, not bees. That's the joke.
What?
I hope you commented back going, they're flies, not bees. Leave them be.
Oh.
Edit that out.
It took me a second. I'm not feeling it. That was
so bad.
Dad. But yeah, there was a good like less than 10% voted like leave them, and I'm like,
okay, glad you omitted the word bee. I'm not over it.
But I also had like option 3 with a question mark. So option 3 was just option 3. Like I didn't give a suggestion, but I just wanted to know what other people's suggestions were. But yeah, basically I ended up setting up those little like ramekin dishes with apple cider vinegar and dishwasher soap, and I actually put like the top of a strawberry in like 3 of them as well, just to like attract them. But
and now the kitchen smells like a chip shop.
Now the kitchen smells like vinegar, but the flies are gone.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that again?
Why
were we talking about
I brought that up for a reason. It was like the value of life, but then we've established that the fruit flies are a separate issue.
I think it's very like case by case.
Yes.
I live in a small flat. Like I am on the 3rd floor. A lot of people were like, oh, like get them all to flock. They're not fucking birds. Get them all to fly onto like a piece of fruit, and then put the fruit outside, or like put the dish outside or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation. I'm like, it's not just floor. Like a wee bunch. Like there's literally hundreds of them. Like they are swarming the place. Someone else said get a cat, and I was like, I have a cat. How like. I was like, you've been following me for a while. You should know by now that I have
like Kiwi couldn't make it today. She had other engagements. That's why she's not in the studio. We'll get her a smaller armchair for next time.
But yeah, it was a bit of an ethical dilemma.
Mm-hmm. I can confirm though, like, I spent last night in your flat and there was not a single fly.
It's because I dealt with them.
Mm-hmm. It's because I dealt with them. Every last one.
Maybe I should start a side hustle getting rid of fruit flies.
Pest control. And it's just you and your jar of vinegar with strawberry in it. Which I thought was a tomato as well at one point. And I thought that's a very eclectic fly trap.
Tomato girl summer.
Tomato girl summer. We went, so a little bit of a tangent, we booked our holiday, or we finalised our holiday booking to sunny Portugal, but we decided last weekend we would go shopping. And there is a bizarre amount of t-shirts about with tomatoes on them. Hence we coined the phrase Tomato Girl Summer.
Was it? No, there was a t-shirt that actually said Tomato Girl.
Yeah, it did.
And TK Maxx.
Two tomatoes. And I'm like, is this a thing? Are we missing something in pop culture right now?
Lobsters are apparently in as well.
Like shellfish and tomatoes.
Shrimps.
Apparently that's a thing. Apparently that's trendy. I can't see me pulling it off. Do you want to get a shrimp t-shirt and try out?
Go on then.
Portugal attire.
I know. Look at me in my shellfish dress. With like shrimps and stuff all. But it was done in such a bougie way. It's like cherry tomatoes. Summer 25. And I'm like, I'll just stick to my gym gear, thanks. I have taken us on a slight tangent. But it popped into my head. I had to talk about the tomatoes. They were running riot in my head. Have we got any other like on topic points to add?
I'm just trying to think if there was anything else that came up around like the link between like veganism, neurodivergence, and queerness.
I'd found an article. I mean, I don't know where exactly. I think it was published in 2021. So, but it was Cambridge University, and if you are LGBTQ plus, or rather, correction, if you are autistic, you are 8 times more likely to be LGBTQ plus. And a lot of what they were talking about in their article was, I think if you are, it's slightly different if you boil it down to gender. So if you identify as a male and you're autistic, you're 3.5 times more likely. But if you identify as a female, you're, I was going to say just 3 times more likely.
We were talking as well about like with the gender side of things. Like, so there's like, I've always thought this as well. And I remember like learning a little bit about it, like during like when I was studying gender studies, like while I was at uni. And like, obviously eating meat is seen as like a very like masculine thing. Whereas men are a lot less likely to be vegan or even plant-based because of like the stereotypes around,
like manly man has steak and all.
Yeah. Whereas I suppose like when it comes to like having a queer identity, like you're already challenging those norms around what masculinity or femininity is or looks like. So I think there's something in there around that as well. And then there was something else I was going to say as well there.
Because
I think another thing, obviously, with neurodivergent people, like both people with ADHD and autism, is that like strong sense of justice. And I think it goes without saying that like that sense of justice is strong in me. Like, I can't just sit on my arse if there's like any sort of injustice going on in the world. Like we're not even going to Pride this year because of the whole Palestine situation. But yeah, I went veggie when I was 6 years old. I've always been very sensitive, like highly sensitive, like not just emotionally but also like sensory sensitivities as well. Like I was literally wearing sunglasses in the car to the gym this morning even though it was overcast because I'm like, it's too bright outside.
I looked like I was driving a celebrity. You're sat in a passenger seat going,
It's Toria, it's too bright. But like I think with that, like I remember asking my mum where meat came from, and she told me like it was animals. My mum was vegetarian as well, but I was just curious to know, like I wanted to understand.
Yeah.
Again, I've always
Thirst
been
for
curious.
knowledge.
I'm like, why are you vegetarian? What does it mean? And she told me, and I was like, that was me straight away. I was like, I'm not, it upset me. Like I can still remember the day, and I remember how much it upset me, and I was like, I'm not contributing to that. And then again, when I found out like the horrors of the dairy industry and like just agriculture and all these other things, and I was like, I can't contribute to this. Like I've got a choice in this, and I can't just like sit back and not take any responsibility for it. So I think there's like something in there around that kind of strong sense of justice and like doing the right thing. Because again, it came up when like the EHRC shit started kicking off like the other month with trans rights around like using bathrooms, and then similarly, as I've just mentioned, like I've never been to Pride. We were obviously speaking in length about that last night because I've never been fully out before now, and it would have been nice to participate in Pride because, as I say, I've never got to do it before. I've never got to celebrate my queerness in that way before. But when I came across the No Pride and Genocide Instagram account and started reading more about like the pink washing of Pride and how, you know, corporations like Barclays and stuff who are actively participating in what's going on in Gaza, like I was like, I can't contribute to that. I'm like, there are queer people like in other countries that don't have that opportunity and who are literally like the undescribable things are happening over there right now, and I will not participate in that. So again, like I think there's very much this like social justice thing that's intrinsically a part of being queer, like not just social justice but also like justice when it comes to like animal rights and stuff as well. So I think it's all just so intertwined.
It's like a value of all life, not just your own. So it's not like so I suppose like we're talking about, like if you look at the advert for like steaks or any kind of meat-based advert, it's always like flames and it's black and it's probably voiced by a man. You don't get like clouds and it's sunny and it's a woman going, what about a nice refreshing burger after your long day? But it is quite like, it's about how can I use the resources around me to get what I want, whereas like all three of these communities, I guess, have in common is like a network of support. Like if you research anything about the LGBTQ plus community, the vegan community, the kind of ADHD, ODHD kind of family as well, because obviously there's a lot of umbrella conditions that fall within that. A lot of it is about how do we all, not necessarily between them, but if you read any of like main organisations, it's about how you connect with your community.
Yeah.
It's about togetherness, like everybody's
it's all
valuable.
Very, like values based, like community, supporting each other, collectivism rather than individualism. Like I feel like individualism is very much ingrained in that whole fucking like grind set. Like
like even we tried a new gym this morning and did you see the thing on the wall? In this room there's no room for excuses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd maybe roll her over that.
I know. I read that and I was like,
that's quite intense.
I don't know how I feel about that, but like I look like a bodybuilder, so
you still look jacked, so. And you can just write below it, there is no such thing as an excuse.
You don't get to decide what's a reason and what's an excuse.
Like, you're not the boss of me. I'll decide.
There's no room for excuses. Chronic illness is not valid.
Like what chronic illness?
You're choosing to be disabled.
You're choosing to be exhausted all of the time. Because I think we don't. I can't remember if I said it on the podcast earlier, like, about my sister. My sister has chronic fatigue syndrome, and quite a lot of what she struggled with was this. In the early days, people tarring her with a brush that she could just somehow push past it, and you're choosing to let this bother you. And she's like, of course it bothers me.
So you literally can't win, because if you're honouring like your energy levels and you're resting, then that's seen as you like being lazy or like trying to play the system.
Mm-hmm.
But equally, like if you push through and you continue to grind, then you only make your condition worse. And surely that's like worse for society as a whole, because
You just got a sea of burnt out people
yeah,
that are just running on empty all the time. And surely it's better to rest and come back recharged and take a really good whack at something than keep chipping at it with like the little energy you've got left. It'd be like tiny, tiny chips. Whereas if you just pull right back and then come at it fully recharged, odds are there's the breakthrough. Because you've got way more like force and power. But it's science, innit? Sports science. It's physics. That was my bit. Have we got anything else we'd like to chime in there?
I feel like I've covered everything that.
I would say so. Unless I
That
bring up
would-
the tomatoes again. We don't want that.
Give me a few weeks, I'll probably like do some more research.
Tune in for part B, where we've
There's always
updated
more.
what we want to say about this topic.
I would honestly be interested to hear other people's thoughts on
Mm-hmm.
the kind of the intersections between
Mm-hmm.
neurodivergence, queerness, veganism. So if anyone wants to kind of share their thoughts or have a bit of a discussion on it, then
Please do
hit
contact
us up on Instagram,
Mm-hmm. You are,
tailormadetraining.pt.
and I am VB the PT. Please do get involved with the pod, because it gives us like you guys' opinions. So it's like we're all in the room,
Mhm.
but there's only 2 chairs, so you can't all come in.
You can sit on the floor.
And it also gives us like if there's anything you want to hear, like obviously we can do that as well.
Yeah, I hope that this has been an insightful episode,
Mhm.
and we shall catch you on the next one.
Mhm.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in for our first studio episode.
Peace.
Peace.